Do you remember the arcade? In this episode of the Retro Funhouse, we're going to take a trip down memory lane and take a look at some classic arcade games from the one and only arcade company that really pushed the limits with some fun, wacky stuff. And they are none other than Midway Games. They put out many great hits, games like Paperboy, Spy Hunter, Super Sprinter, and many more. Let's get into it. First up on the Midway arcade game HITZ, none other than Revolution X, which was a two-player shoot-'em-up game. This one was developed in September of 1994, of course, by Midway, and the gameplay, if you've noticed in the graphics, is pretty similar to Terminator 2 Judgment Day, except this one is more themed around the band Aerosmith and the oppressive New Order Nation regime. And throughout the game, you're trying to find the band Aerosmith while defeating this New World Order regime. But you shoot bullets, you shoot discs, CD discs. It's a lot of fun if you've never played it. Definitely recommend it, and it's got some fun Aerosmith music playing to it as well. If you've never seen this, go find it. Aerosmith Revolution X.
Hey Joey, what's she really like?
She's the most exciting woman I ever met.
Yeah?
Atari introduces the Woman of the Year, Ms. Pac-Man.
You cannot forget Midway classic Miss Pac-Man, which came out in 1982. This maze game was the first maze game I actually ever played, and I played it many times in the laundromat. Many memories with my mom playing this. Miss Pac-Man, a great game. Down, set, hut. Now this is not your typical football game. Pigskin Football 621 AD came out in 1990 by Midway. This is probably by far one of my favorite games to play when it comes to a football themed game, because this is more set in the medieval times. You can choke people, you can burn them, you can hang them, you can do all kinds of things. They can fall in pits, you can pass the ball backwards, forwards, anywhere you want. This is a great, fun, silly, wacky game, and it's a rugby-style football game at that. This is a lot of fun if you've never played it. Pigskin 621 AD. Up next is the game that I believe paved the way for NBA Jam. It is the 1989 game, Arch Rivals. This 2-on-2 game was not your typical basketball game if you ever played it. This was a game where you could easily just run around and punch people and take the ball and dunk it and what have you. This was a fun, simple basketball game that I really enjoyed as a kid in the late 80s. But one of the things as I was making this video that I forgot, and luckily I remembered as I'm doing the video, is Tyrone, which is basically the main character that everyone picked. He was also one of the main animated characters in the Power Team segments on the television series Video Power with Johnny Arcade. This is still a great game if you haven't played it. Look for it. Arch Rivals, one of my personal favorite basketball games. Punch him in the face. Up next, the 1995 WWF WrestleMania, the arcade game. This game really threw me off as a teenager back in the 90s because it was so different from games then, and even today it's very different, very unique from any wrestling game I've ever played. This game was really highly inspired by Mortal Kombat with the combinations, as well as NBA Jam with the fast-paced wackiness. This is still a really good game. I like the fact that the real WWF wrestlers at the time were in this. If you've never played WrestleMania the arcade game, highly recommended. Fun game for sure.
Prepare yourself for the ultimate sporting challenge, the all-new NBA Jam Tournament Edition at Time Zone.
Up next, the 1993 overly exaggerated but extremely fun NBA Jam. This was one of my favorite, and still one of my favorite NBA games to play because it's fun, it's silly, it's wacky, the dunks, the he's on fire, the shoots for three, boom shakalaka, you name it, they got it. NBA Jam, still a great game. Up next, the 1984 Spy Hunter. This is a vehicle combat game, which when this game originally came out, the arcade for it was really drawing to me as a kid. I would go to the local gas station, which had it in the back room with some other video games. I really liked the shape of the steering wheel because more of a U-shaped type thing, but it had all the buttons and the light up on the dashboard, and of course you were standing, so it had the foot pedal. But what was really interesting about this game is, of course, it's a vehicle combat game, and it draws inspiration from the James Bond films, and I didn't know this. It was originally supposed to carry the James Bond brand, and of course the object of the game is you're driving the interceptor car and you're destroying various enemy vehicles with a variety of onboard weapons. This is a game I played many times. It had that very futuristic Mad Max, really cool feel. I really enjoyed playing this game as a kid. It had the low and high gears, and of course, like I said, the pedal for acceleration. This game in general, though, it's hard to play. It's a fun game, but if you really step on that accelerator gas and you go, this car on this game will just go. But I like the fact that when you have enemies that are trying to get beside you, someone would have the extendable claws or whatever they were that would reach out, and if they touched you, they would hit you and push you off the road, and you would explode immediately. But the truck would immediately come out of nowhere, pull over, empty out another vehicle, and I guess you're in it again, or another driver, something. I never understood that part of the game. But this game, I recently played at one of the arcades, and I'm still not very good at it, but it is still one of my favorites because it is fun, it's high impact. I love it when the enemies are chasing you down. Spy Hunter, still a good game. Bruh. And we can't forget one of my personal favorites from the 80s, the 1986 Rampage game. This was a game when I was a 7-year-old in 86. I got to actually play this in the arcade. Now the game is controlled by a trio of monsters, George, Lizzie, and Ralph. Humans were turned into creatures due to an experimental mishap. And the object of the game is really easy. It's basically destroy the city and combat military forces while maintaining your health. And with that, when you played the arcade game, to keep your health, you had to keep pumping in quarters. That was something I learned pretty quick, and you lose health really fast. Other than that, the game is just set in 128 days across the cities of North America, and the gameplay is pretty easy. You just destroy buildings, eat humans, and avoid damage. But one of the fun things about this game is, one, you can punch other players that you're playing with in the face, and it takes away their health life. But the best part of the game is there's a level where there's a trolley that comes out of nowhere, and if you time it just right, you and another player can punch the trolley back and forth, kind of like a game of tennis, and that thing goes faster and faster back and forth. But other than that, if you've never played Rampage, I definitely would say give it a shot. It's a lot of fun. Kids love it. Rampage.
First down.
And last but not least, NFL Blitz, which came out in 1997, and rather than being designed as a realistic interpretation of the sport of football like Madden or NFL 2K or any of those, the Blitz series was created as an over-the-top exaggerated version of the sport, inspired by what other game? NBA Jam. NFL Blitz was definitely a fun game for anybody and everybody. If you've never played it, go play it. A lot of fun. Slamming, jamming action. I love the game. And as they say, that is a wrap, at least for this episode of Midway Game Arcade Hits. We hope you liked and enjoyed the episode. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and check out some of the other videos. And always make sure you check us out on Instagram and Facebook and any other place in social media. Thanks for watching. Join the Funhouse, Retro Funhouse.